was the 2-year anniversary since my amazing trip to Japan. And I started thinking that I tend to link memories to material items. Could be a small souvenir, something I picked up along the way. I've just found that something like that, when I see that item, it triggers memories. So I started thinking that yes, I still have some items that I brought back from Japan that are resting comfortably in a drawer someplace, but they need a proper home. Someplace where I can put the items and occasionally open it up, take a look at them, and I get a rush of all the memories and all the good times I had in Japan. So I started designing something, came up with an item that will become the home for some memories. And as far as wood, I was recently at a sale at a store up in Columbia, South Carolina, and they had a bundle of Black Limba wood from Africa. Never seen this stuff before, never worked with it, so we're gonna see how that works out. And then I'm also putting in just a touch of stained glass in this project. So I hope you enjoy the video. While you're watching it, if you have questions or anything, put comments. If you like it, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. And thanks for watching. I'm currently working on a front porch renovation project on my house, and I need a little break, cleanse the palate type project. So the design is really limited to just figuring out what the size is going to be. And then most of the detail is just going to be things that I do on the fly while I'm working on the project. This is my favorite way to work on a project like this. Just have a general idea and then make decisions while I'm actually building it, and in the end kind of see what I come up with. Similar to wood, I try to keep a good selection of stained glass in my shop for projects like this. I'm typically drawn to colors found in nature: blues, greens, browns, shades of tan. But for this project, I want a color that really pops. So this is the bundle of Black Limba wood from West Africa that I recently picked up. It's 1/2 inch thick stock, flat, smooth, and ready to be worked with. I'm like a kid opening a box of his favorite candy here. I can't wait to see what this stuff is like to work with and how it looks after it's finished. The wood bundle has a nice variation of different grains and colors. So I'm going to look at all the boards and then decide what look am I going for this project. Time to get started at the miter saw and cut the pieces to their rough length. Moving on to ripping at the table saw, first thing I do is check the fence to make sure that it's square to the table. Only takes a second, but it makes for a much better cut. Now it's time to rip the boards to the desired height. Now I'm ripping a slot for the bottom and the top of the box. A corresponding slot will be cut into all four sides of the box, on the top and the bottom. Prior to making these cuts, I'd already decided which surface was the inside and which was the outside and marked the boards accordingly. A light pass with a sharp chisel is all that's required to clean out the slots. I'm changing the table saw blade to 45 degrees to make the mitered corners. And now I'm using my mitered crosscut sled to cut the boards to length. I use the same glue up technique as many other YouTubers, blue painter's tape and glue at the mitered corners. This is the best time to sand the inside surfaces of the box before it's assembled. You'll have to imagine amazing footage of the glue up process because I forgot to film that portion. I slathered glue on the mitered corners, put the bottom in place, and then used the blue tape to temporarily secure the shape of the box. And then I like to use a strap clamp to get everything really tight. I'm preparing to cut slots in the corners for the splines, and for this I'll be doing it on the router table with an upcut spiral bit. It's always a good idea to do a test cut to check your depth. I'm using blue painter's tape to help reduce the tear out on the back side of the slot.
This is the process of deciding what wood to use for the splines. I'm just using mineral spirits on the wood to get a feel for what the colors will be after I put a finish on, and then taking different wood samples, walnut, poplar, and just seeing what I like best with the color of the Black Limba wood. I want something to contrast, but not too much contrast. I shocked myself and decided to go with the poplar. I know that it will become more of a caramel color as it ages, and I think that'll be a nice contrast. So I need to rip the thin spline pieces on the table saw. A tool for everything, and a place for every tool. Now I will start cutting the poplar splines to fit into the slots in the box. I really enjoy this process. I think it just looks cool when the splines are inserted into the contrasting wood. It's much easier to clean the glue off while it's still wet versus waiting for it to be dry. I decided to go with the splines standing proud of the sides of the box. So I'm taking this little 1/8 inch thick wood blind scrap, and this will allow me to have a little guide to cut the splines. A clamp makes this process a lot easier. An alternative to the Japanese flush cut saw is one of these multi-tool saws. They're fast, but I don't enjoy them as much as a hand saw. Since the splines will stand proud of the sides of the box, I'm going to use a sharp chisel to put a 45-degree chamfer on all of the corners. And now it's time to do the final sanding on all sides of the box. Let's get started on the stained glass portion of this project. Scoring the glass with a glass cutter. And snapping the glass along the edge of the table. This red beans can is the perfect radius I'm looking for. Tapping on the backside of the score creates little tiny fractures that helps the glass break a little easier. But it didn't do much on this break because I was just too close to the edge of the glass. I will add a little water to the diamond glass grinder and then start grinding all the edges of the glass piece. One last pass on the grinder to make sure that all edges on the glass are smooth, and then you'll see me tilt the glass at an angle, and this allows me to put a chamfer on the edge of the glass, which just cuts down on the chance that there will be any sharp edges. I'm going to start cutting pieces that will become a small handle on the lid. For these real small pieces, I've found that using hand tools is much safer than trying to hold a piece of wood, a very small piece of wood, in the saw. I'm using my small crosscut sled to cut a decorative piece for the top. And now back to the workbench to plane a small chamfer on all the edges of this top. Back to the router to cut another slot. And now for the decorative piece that will go in that slot. The red beans can makes its appearance again, and I'm going to use that same radius on this decorative top piece. I wasn't in the mood to change out the bandsaw blade from this resaw blade to like a 1/4-inch blade for a fine cut. So I'm just going to rough cut it on the bandsaw and then finish it off on the drum sander. I'm using 5-minute epoxy to hold the decorative piece into the slot. And a fresh mix of 5-minute epoxy will hold this decorative top onto the box. Now for installation of the decorative handle doodaddy thing. My testing has proven that wood will stick to glass with 5-minute epoxy. A close-up of the glue drying. Let's see that painful moment in slow motion. So let's redo that glass piece. Figure out the desired length, and back to the grinder to smooth the edges and put that nifty little chamfer all the way around. I scraped the glue off of that small Black Limba piece, and we're ready to try this process again. Hopefully using tape as a clamp this time will help. I can apply the handle after the 5-minute epoxy had set and tape was removed. I wasn't confident that the tape would hold the handle in place, so I added light pressure from a spring clamp. And now it's time to squirrel away this wood for a future project. I need to refresh some hard wax that I mixed up a while back. Adding beeswax, adding carnauba wax, and adding a little Danish raw linseed oil and citrus oil.
So this little project, which is a distraction from a big project, is a wrap. And it's time for the project debrief. The good. Since I made the box for myself, I'm the client, and the client really likes the project. I like the box. It serves the purpose I intended, and functional, yes, and it looks pretty cool. I like it. I like the wood. This was my first time working with Black Limba wood, and overall, I like it. I think it looks really cool. The fact that it has this natural orange streak in it is kind of bizarre. That it's just so different from the rest of the wood that I love it. And I like the chopsticks holders. Very simple, kind of remind me of almost like a fat domino is in the end kind of what it looks like, but it's just simple. Put them in there, a good way to store them, and I think that worked out pretty well. The bad. This Black Limba wood, what I found is that it tears out, but it's not a tear out like I've experienced in other woods, meaning that when I rip it or cross cut it, at the very end there's little fibers that are left, but they're stringy. It's a very weird tear out. Really easy to deal with, just like a sharp knife or something, you can cut them off, but it was there, and it happened almost every time that I did something to the wood, so I know it's a characteristic of the wood. Not a big deal, but it was a bad. The only other bad I can think of is I decided to use the poplar for the different splines and accent pieces. I think eventually this is going to look cool when the poplar kind of continues to change color, which it does. Sunlight makes it change color, and I think it's going to end up being more of a caramel color, but right now it's just too close to the colors that are naturally in the Black Limba. So maybe in the future it'll look a little bit better. And then the ugly on this project. Let's talk about the broken piece of glass. When I clamped up this little piece right here, I didn't really think that there is a tiny little gap underneath here, so when I clamped it, it put a weird pressure on the glass, and it probably took all of about 2 or 3 minutes that was clamped. And then you saw it in the video, I happened to just do that last shot hoping to just show what the clamp looked like, and right when I turned the camera on, glass cracked. Not a huge deal in the end because I had more of this glass, so I just cut a new piece, but it's one of those things you never want to have happen, but it happens. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe, please like, please leave comments. I'm a new channel, so I'm trying to keep things rolling, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.